What's up, traders? This is Ace Boogie doing a trade recap from this morning. I traded ticker FRAN FRAN this morning, 7:17 pre-market. And I just want to go over a couple of things that I looked for when I made this trade and why it was so successful for me. Um, First things first, how do we find these trades? Big percent gainers. So Fran actually showed up, and it's probably still up there. Um, Premarketstockwatch.com. Look at that. Number one up there in pre-market. Had the most volume, had the biggest percent gain. That's how I found it. Go to this website every morning by 8 a.m. and you'll see what's going to be in play for today. You look for the biggest percent gainers. And Fran was definitely the number one going into the market open. Um, so why was it a big percent gainer? Okay, let's find out. So I'll go over to FinViz, find Fran, or you can type it in up here. Um, First thing you notice, what's the float? What are you trading? How easy can it spike? How easy can it crash? How much shares are in rotation? What's the float? So super low float, 2.80 million shares. Um, what's the news? Okay, so the news was, I believe it was a reverse split recently. So news today didn't really have any news today, um, but it did have previous news. But regardless of if it had an official quote unquote catalyst or not, um, the volume told the tale. The volume tells the tale. When you have massive volume, it doesn't really matter what the catalyst is. It's going to run off momentum. It's going to run off of short squeezes. So let's take a look at the chart. So here's what I did today. This is my entries and exits right here. Made roughly 200 bucks on it this morning with relatively small size. So it was actually a great trade, great profit for the amount of size I used. Um, so first, let's look at the bigger picture, daily chart. So scroll out. So it's not letting me do it. There it is. So this is the big picture. It's trading at its all-time lows, and it's almost at the point of bankruptcy. So no, you don't get married to these stocks. You're in and out. You trade them like a sniper. You're in there for a specific portion, predictable portion of the move. You're getting out. This is not an investment. You see what happens if you continue to hold, you know. But look at the volume. The volume was roughly, I don't know how long, roughly 9 million today or something like that, something crazy compared to all these other days. Look, all these other days it had roughly zero volume until today. So the volume tells the tale. So this morning, caught it this morning like 7:30-ish. I saw that it had spiked up to 5, pulled back, and it was consolidating around the 460s, 470s. But I did see a solid wall at this 480 area. See if I can get a better view for you. Yeah, it was a solid wall at 480, so it spiked up right here, pulled back. It was grinding up, and every time it hit 480, it would get sold into that pop, sold into the pop, sold into the pop. So I told myself, okay, it's a wall of sellers at 480. If this stock breaks through 480, it has potential to reach 5 and beyond, with the right amount of volume and the right price action. So that was my thesis and that was my trading plan. My plan was to long it over 480, watch for the push to 5, and see if how 5 and 5 plus acts as, resistance, whether it's going to get sold into 5 quick and bounce back down quickly back into the 490s and under 480s, or whether it's going to hold that level and consolidate on that level and continue on. So that's what I was looking for real time throughout the trade. So going back to the 1 minute chart, it shows a little bit better. So boom, I longed it right here. It had popped over 480. I was looking at some other stuff and I actually missed the initial breakout that I was looking for. But of course, if it's a true breakout, it's going to come back to that level and it's going to go off that level. So it popped up, came back down. I longed it, didn't get a perfect execution. Remember, it's pre-market, so the spread is kind of goofy. So I got what I could. I think I had like 200 shares on this first candle, and I watched it fade off a little bit, and I was just waiting for volume to come in, number one. I wish I could have added right here in the 470s. I was being a little bit stubborn and being a little bit gun shy, but as you can see, the volume did come in. This is probably the biggest volume stick of, the hour period that's shown here. Um, Once that volume came in, it pushed five, and once it pushed five, it came back down, rested on five, and continued on. So it showed me that it had range, and it showed me that it can push well into the fives. It went all the way up to 520 here. So it can push well into the fives. Um, as we know, whole dollar, half dollars are going to be your natural support resistance magnet zones. So the stock is going to want to go to five and it's going to want to come back down and rest on five. So you got to know your basic technical analysis when you're trading these plays. So push over five, came back down. I told myself, hey, I want to add to this. I don't think I had a big enough position. I only had 200 shares. It's a $4 stock, now a $5 stock. So let me get some more size in. So I told myself I was going to add on any dip that we got. So I was looking at these candles make lower lows, and whenever it stopped making lower lows is when I made my entry. So that's how I determined when to enter on the dip. So the low of this candle is 510. The low of this candle was 506. The low of this candle was 502. The low of this candle, number one, this candle is crucial. These two candles are crucial because this is the candle that comes back down to that whole dollar magnet area. And this is the candle that goes under that whole dollar magnet area. So once it got underneath five, I was looking for it to stop making, a lower lows on level two. You can't see it on the chart because it was happening real time as the bids were stacking up. So I put in an order, got filled at, I want to say 496 for the pushback over five. And that's exactly what it did. Once I got my full 500 share position, I was ready to sell. I felt like, there's no need to add. This thing may try to test 550, whole dollar, half dollar. It wasn't really too much resistance besides the 520 area. So once I added, I saw a spike, first couple minutes, and it ripped straight through that previous 520 high, which was right here. Um, then it went straight up to 530. And once it went to 530, I said, you know what? I'm good. Let's go ahead and take profits into strength. And that's what I did. Set my limit order for like 532, and I think I got filled at 535 for $200 profit, on 500 shares. So now I could have kept holding it theoretically because my thesis was correct. If it popped over five, it has a chance of testing 550, and that's exactly what it did eventually in pre-market. But I was done. I took my profits and I was happy. My trade worked out. I executed it to my plan, um, and that was just a well thought out, well timed play. Not every time, not all your plays are going to line up that way. You either have a great plan with a shitty execution, or great executions with a shitty plan. So whenever everything lines up like that, you should really take the time and tell yourself good job because it's very difficult in this line of work. So just looking on, as you know, whenever the markets opened up, I mean, it hung around this, 550s area, 540s, 530s, and just kind of went sideways until the markets opened up. Markets opened up, it popped up a little bit, but then it just got no momentum. I thought about, taking a quick dip buy down to five and trying to ride it back up, but wasn't worth it. Didn't have any momentum, wasn't worth the risk. So that was my play for today, FRAN, Fran. And yeah, hopefully you can take away something from what I have here and, you know, use it in your trading. I just want to see one other thing. Yeah, so it's good to look at multiple time frames. My favorites are 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, 4 hour, and daily charts. So before I make any play, I always check all of those time frames, weekly and monthly as well if I'm looking at the history. But well, that's it. I'm out of here. See you guys in the chat room.